Howdy team, happy Thursday, and welcome to my boys' room. Since we're talking about the Tower of Babel this week, and there's even a Legos example in there, I thought I would broadcast from in here today because this is Lego Central in my house. In fact, I was going to show you, this is the tower that my boys are currently building, and it's mostly Anson, but both of them are working on it. And it's a pretty impressive structure. Got a little Eye of Sauron kind of a thing, and then they've got this big crazy looking, he's a monkey creature of some kind, and then you can see all the spare parts they're using to build. But Legos are a big deal in our house. I'm pretty sure they're a big deal in some of y'all's houses too. And so this concept of building will not be a hard thing for them to grasp by any stretch. Before I jump into the lesson, let me just say, guys, we're outside one more week. And I say I promise, because as sure as I promise you we won't be outside again, like the world will come to an end or something crazy. I hate backtracking even a little bit on y'all, but we need to be outside one more week. I'm even going to let you in a little bit to pick classrooms if you haven't done that yet, or even just to go view your classroom if you want to. But we need to be outside one more week to support the kids, and some of the adults are still outside too. We've been inside all summer long. We can do this, inside on Wednesdays, sorry. But we can be the last ones in, that'll be okay. Anyway, let's jump into our lesson. Guys, this is a great lesson, and I can't remember if we talked about the Tower of Babel a few years ago or not, but there's a lot to be learned here, both from a historical perspective and just from an obedience perspective. So for starters, let me say both of the intros are pretty cool. If you want to bring your own Legos and have a Lego building contest, that's awesome. But I think it honestly could be kind of fun if you pair them up in teams and give them 10 minutes and say, go collect things out in the yard since we're outside anyway, and have them truly build a structure, just whatever they find. There could be a lot of joy found in that. I can see where the boys in particular get a kick out of that. So entirely up to you. The languages thing is kind of fun too, but if you're giving them something tactile, since we're outside already, give them that challenge. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So just kind of an interesting fact too, again, from a historical perspective, somebody's going to say, okay, God just destroyed the world. We just looked at that last week. Now all of a sudden people are building towers. What's going on here? There's about 100 to maybe 150 years time difference. Historians or biblical historians or the kind of debate, but it's somewhere between 100 and 150 years. Just to put that in perspective, remind the students that's a little over half of the timeline of our nation's history. And so people populating very quickly and filling up space in that much time is not a hard thing to do. And advancements in technology is not a hard thing to do during that time frame either. So again, this story, it might seem wild, but it's not far-fetched, and it's not hard. If you sit down and reason through it, it's not hard to grasp either. The lesson itself makes so many great points all on its own. Like if you just follow the material, I'm stepping in Legos here. If you follow the material, you're going to have a fantastic lesson just on its own. There's a lot of good stuff about pride and obedience and how we use our skills even. And so I definitely encourage you to do that. But here's kind of my big thought that I was kicking around. And it's just this, and this may be an oversimplification, but I don't think it is. God has given us all sorts of wonderful talents. And if we use our talents to please other people or ourselves, it's entirely possible, if that's our main focus, just to please others or please us, it's entirely possible that we'll anger God greatly in the process. However, if we seek to use our skills to be obedient to God, we will impress God, and it's very possible that we will anger others, or possibly even ourselves. But if I'm choosing between trying to please or impress other people or myself or God, again, even if I don't want to, if I just reason through what's better, pleasing God is always better. And that's really what it came down to at the Tower of Babel. People were trying to impress themselves. They're trying to boast. And at the end of the day, just weren't willing to obey God. And so God lovingly disciplined his people. And he could have destroyed them. He'd proven that already. He chose to creatively even discipline his people here. And It's pretty neat. By the way, in case you're wondering, and I know you know this was not the only time in Scripture where God scatters people to accomplish his purposes. Remember in the New Testament, specifically in the book of Acts, Jesus told the disciples, hey, go into all the world and preach the gospel. And all of them hung out in Jerusalem and a little bit around Jerusalem. They didn't go far until persecution broke out. And all of a sudden now all the believers are scattering. And some scattered far away. Most of them just went to northern Israel. And then God unleashed Paul, not only as a missionary. First, Paul began to chase them and scatter them further with persecution. And then God converted Paul. And then Paul went varsity on being a missionary. Sometimes out of persecution, that's where he landed in other countries. So the Lord will use lots of ways to accomplish his purposes. It's just always better if we are willing participants in the obedience. Guys, I love y'all. It's 6 minutes, Maureen. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.